When we imagine medieval taverns, we often picture smoky rooms, spilled ale, and unruly crowds. Taverns were not escapes from daily life. They were part of it. In towns and villages, taverns offered warmth, drink, simple food, and a shared space where people paused after the day's work. Along with inns and alehouses, taverns formed a network of public places that served slightly different purposes. Alehouses were often small rooms run from private homes. Inns catered to travelers seeking a bed. Taverns were more regulated and visible within the community. Ale was the drink most people consumed. Water could be unreliable, and ale provided both hydration and calories. It was weak by modern standards and was consumed by men, women, and even children. Brewing was often a domestic task, and many taverns were run by women known as alewives, whose work supported household income. Food was straightforward and filling. Bread, cheese, pottage, meat pies, and salted meat were common. They served what was available, often cooked earlier in the day and eaten communally at long tables. Inside, the space was practical rather than comfortable. Heavy benches and trestle tables filled the room. A hearth provided heat, while smoke drifted through the air and settled into clothing and walls. Light came mainly from the fire and a few candles. Privacy was limited. Voices overlapped, and the room carried the smell of smoke, ale, damp wool, and bodies. Taverns were also places where information traveled. News passed by word of mouth, carried by travelers, traders, and locals moving between markets and villages. Deals were discussed, gossip exchanged, and disputes aired. In a world without newspapers, taverns helped connect people to events beyond their immediate surroundings. Local authorities regulated these spaces. Prices, measures, and opening hours were controlled by law. Tavern keepers could be fined for watering down ale, serving poor quality drink, or allowing disorder. Most taverns were expected to maintain order and reflect the values of the community they served. Conflict occurred, but it was not constant. Arguments, gambling disputes, and occasional fights were part of tavern life, but most visits were brief and purposeful. Long nights of excess were rare when people needed to rise early for work. Women were present as both workers and customers. Many taverns were operated by women, and female patrons were common, particularly in alehouses connected to domestic kitchens. Taverns reflected the social structure of their communities rather than standing apart from them. As night fell, taverns emptied. Candles were expensive, fires burned low, and curfews were enforced in many towns. Taverns closed early by modern standards. Medieval social life followed daylight and routine. These were not places of constant chaos. Taverns were everyday rooms, imperfect but vital, where people warmed themselves, shared information, and then returned to work and home. Here on the British Way, we explore history, places, and everyday life through calm, reflective films.